Girl, I cannot even believe I'm reviewing this movie. Tyler Perry, you're going to answer for your crimes.
Y'all already know what time it is. I got the black V-neck on.
A Madea Homecoming exclusively on Netflix. Just finished watching it and I want to offer my thoughts. Girl, yes. I know y'all like, I know Justin is not doing no review for no Madea, no Tyler Perry, anything. Absolutely. When I tell you this was worse than A Fall from Grace, and the reason why I say it is worse than A Fall from Grace, because at least the movie was just bad and we saw bad stuff. This movie has so much propaganda, specifically propaganda in it. And I was like, it doesn't even serve the plot. Like if this was a minstrel show, a Chitlin Circuit, everything, Law and Order, like it was just every bad thing that we see in shows wrapped up in one and called Black Joy and Blackness. I hated it so much. Oh my God. I know I'm not Tyler Perry's audience to watch this, but I want to discuss this movie because it is completely dangerous. And it's a reminder that people like Tyler Perry, who holds as much power as he does, do with what they think is right. Tyler Perry is a known pro-cop, pro-police individual. So when he made this movie, you don't think he put some stuff in it that make folks think, well, maybe we do need policing. Maybe defunding police is a bad thing. Tyler Perry is the last person should be having any conversation about policy or anything. You are a billionaire. You are an oligarch. You are a part of the gentrification process that's going on in Atlanta and have the nerve to be in this movie talking about gentrification as if you are not one of the folks who is responsible for the rent going up in Atlanta. You and TD Jakes. Like, girl, let me drag it. So we want to talk about a movie with two men dressing up as women. There's your movie. This is like, what's so interesting about Tyler Perry's, like his work and everything is that there's a specific audience that does enjoy his content. And this specific audience is people who you would think, yeah, they're transphobic, they're homophobic, they're like, those are those people who enjoy this type of content because this content is just very outdated. Tyler Perry is writing like it's 2005. Like the only thing he's changed up is recognizing that maybe I don't need to have some muscular light-skinned man as the lead character or, you know, gym body folks everywhere. Maybe I need to change it up a little bit, but he still did this in this movie. I don't remember all of the characters' names because I just didn't even want to. I literally lost brain cells watching this movie. So we start off, Madea is in the kitchen. She got Brown outside starting like the barbecue grill and everything, and he just pouring gasoline. If you notice, every dark-skinned person in this movie is either dumb or like angry or just have no clue what's going on, just like I'm just the ugly person in this movie, like I'm just an ugly person. Aunt Bam, Mr. Brown, and like even the angry ex-husband. It was just like Tyler Perry hasn't learned anything about the criticism of how he has the light-skinned person come in and saves the day. Spoiler warning for those who have not and plan on watching the movie, and I really don't understand why. The light-skinned boy who we're introduced to, who's supposed to be at first, from what Tyler Perry was trying to make us like see, is a lot of folks thought that the light-skinned guy who was the roommate of the child who's graduated, both of them graduated from college, they were trying to make it seem as though they were a couple, but they were not a couple. They were not a couple. They were just friends, and it was. It was so cringy and corny because you can tell that Tyler Perry has been listening to criticism. He's been paying attention to the conversations that's going on online. This is one of the things that I kind of do not like about Twitter is that writers and people who are doing film and all this other stuff, trying to like, you know, write for the Sign of the Times and stuff, they take like stuff from Twitter and they just regurgitate it, and it's just very bad because it's still coming from the perspective of someone who is pro-police. You can even go back to the Academy Awards where Tyler Perry was giving his speech in Los Angeles, and he talked about like, don't be angry at police, like doing all the times where people were like recognizing and seeing, hey, you know what? you know, why are we spending so much money on a police force that is like taking the lives of black and brown folks? People were starting to like understand and see stuff. Not necessarily everybody was moving to abolition, but folks were just like, you know what, maybe we do need to have a conversation about, you know, living in a police state city and all this other stuff. Like, people were having those conversations. And then you have billionaires like Tyler Perry, who, you know what, let me write about this, let me just poke some stuff in there. Putting Joe in there with that Black Lives Matter shirt and him talking about this, and you got this woman who was very beautiful, the actress was very beautiful. She's talking about police, and she's talking about like being, you know, like arresting folks for selling drugs, like come see me, and it was just so not needed. Like, it was just, it didn't serve the plot at all. Like, it was just Tyler Perry saying, you know what, I want to have a conversation about police. And it doesn't mean that Tyler Perry is talented. It doesn't mean that he's good. He's just making some stuff that's just easy for folks to consume. And unfortunately for folks like us who know how harmful this stuff is, it's terrible to watch. Like, I literally talked to my dad. I love my dad to death. My dad is damn near 70 years old. He was like, I liked it. I thought it was funny. Of course you do. You had on the All Lives Matter shirt a couple of years ago. Like, of course, this is your type of content. Like, y'all are the folks who will watch this. Y'all will watch this man in a wig, dress up and do this minstrel show, this mammy-ass content. Then you have this other white man dressed up like an auntie, and y'all will have no issue with that. But then sit up here, turn their heads and don't want to see anything with drag queens or queer folks living their lives. Like, y'all are so confusing. I just don't get it. Like, I just don't get it. Like, this is what Tyler Perry said in his speech at the Academy Awards. My mother taught me to refuse hate. She taught me to refuse blanket judgment. And in this time, with all of the internet, social media, and algorithms and everything that wants us to think a certain way, the 24-hour news cycle, it is my hope that all of us will teach our kids, and not only to remember, just refuse hate. Don't hate anybody. Tyler Perry, this absolutely does nothing in a system that we are brought up in that literally hates us. I don't, like, this is what gets me about you organized religion content creators. Y'all want to think that we can just pray this stuff away. We can just, oh my gosh, we just don't think it. Girl, it is not Beetlejuice. We cannot wish it away. It is very much here. And with you being as big as you are with Tyler Perry Studios, you creating this content, you feeding this to black folks, you are the 24-hour news cycle. You are that, because black folks will take that. They will pay attention to that. You do not have the range to have any conversations about policy, let alone Black Lives Matter. You do not have the range. You do not. And I think this is what gets me with millionaires and people who are rich. We are automatically assume just because they are rich that they know something that we don't. The only thing they're doing is exploiting people, which is why all of the folks who have worked with Tyler Perry ain't nowhere is money is he getting. None of them are getting, none of these actresses and actors who are doing these Tyler Perry plays are making as much money as he is. They will never make it. Tyler Perry knows exactly what he's doing. When you are able to pick folks up and make them seem like, oh, I'm doing you good, I'm providing you a job and stuff, people will eat out of the palm of your hands. They will not question anything. The man literally said he does not allow anybody else to write with him. He writes all of his stuff. That's why Fall from Grace was one of the stupidest movies I've ever seen. It was poorly directed. It was just terrible. And this is just another instance. Like, it was giving mammified minstrel show. I could not watch it. That's like, this is blackface. This is blackface in 2020. This is like comedy blackface. And I feel so disconnected. I'm like, nobody's seeing this? Like, you know, nobody's seeing this commentary. Like, I just like, what is the purpose of bringing this police officer in here to serve what plot? And then, you know, Tyler Perry tries to have a message. I'm thinking the message is supposed to be, you know what? Oh, such and such got a gay son. He comes out and everybody like, oh, we already know that. And then we find out that his friend, who everybody expected was suspecting him to be his boyfriend, was his actual friend. But his friend was smashing his mother, who is 20 plus years older than him. And I'm just like, how are we going to having a conversation about loving queer people, loving folks for who they love, and then you tie that to this college student being in love with this damn near 50-year-old woman? Like, what are you talking about? what you talking about, Willis? This ain't making no sense. Like, Tyler Perry does that. And it seems as though Tyler Perry is trying to redeem himself, because you are the same individual who made a movie about, you know, this man cheating and being on DL, and he done gave his wife and some girl HIV. Like, you are responsible for that type of content. You are literally the system that I am fighting. You are literally the thing that is holding us back. You mean no good. Like, you have to be responsible for the stuff that you put out. You've not grown. Like, this is BS. Like, this is BS, and I'm telling black folks who is watching it, you need to really, like, think to yourself, because, girl, it's clicking, but it's clicking down. And even A Madea Homecoming, even the title of the movie had nothing to do with a homecoming. I can see if Madea was going to a homecoming or something, it's just, what is the plot? What's the purpose? And honestly, I thought it was just going to be Madea do a whole bunch of dumb stuff and dressing up like Beyonce for the homecoming thing. Let me tell you something, Homecoming was legendary. I completely enjoyed that film. Spectacular. That's why I was so upset, and like, I don't want to see Tyler Perry deface that. I don't want to see Tyler Perry take away from that moment and make a mockery of it for white people to laugh. I just did not want that. And come to find out, it wasn't entirely in the movie, it was in the end credits. But it's just like, you got this man dressing up in a fat suit. Like, you got this man dressing up in a fat suit. And I'm just, this is terrible. Like, this is terrible. The writing, everything seems so forced, from Davi's, like, auntie and whoever. Like, everything seemed so forced and out of place. I'm like, girl, what is this? What is this? Like, it just made absolutely no sense. And I'm just watching, I'm just like, girl, I'm about to die. I'm watching, I'm like, I'm about to die. Like, I'm not gonna make it another 30 minutes with this. I'm not. Like, I hope that I make it, because it was just so bad. So this movie's message, I still don't understand it. It is Tyler Perry trying to enter in a new age. He said he's bringing Madea out of retirement. They made like some type of, what's the name of, maybe Madea is gonna go to Europe, or maybe she'll go to Ireland or something. I hope that people learn eventually that these movies are so bad and such bad taste and so harmful, because they just reinforce a bunch of bullcrap. Like, the only movie that I ever respect Tyler Perry for is Why Did I Get Married? Why Did I Get Married 1 and 2, both of those one of my favorite movies. Everything else, no. Like, everything else, like, and this is clear as day, the propaganda that was in this, like the conversation between the police, like the girl who was playing a police officer versus Joe, like they going back and forth, and then Tyler Perry, who's playing Madea, saying, well, no, we just need to love each other. It ain't about that. Y'all just need to listen. Y'all talking over each other. One group of people are talking, the other group of people is killing. That's what's happening. So we're not trying to hear, oh, there's good on, like the way Tyler Perry framed this is it's good and bad on both sides. Like, no, there is a group of people, black folks, who are naming, who are saying, hey, under this, we are dying. That's the conversation that they're having. I don't know what Tyler Perry means with that. And to put this out, to put this propaganda in front of black folks, blatant like this, created by somebody who is supposedly black excellence, is so harmful. And you talking about a 24-hour news cycle? Girl, this was a 24-hour minstrel mammy-fied show, and I hated it.